So thanks very much for taking the trouble to be here this evening. I'm very grateful that you've shown an interest in my work, the Cypriot, and of course in the little divided island of my parents, and Alexander and Andonis are here this evening. I'll start with a synopsis. The Cypriot is set in 1950s Cyprus at the time of British rule, as the struggle for freedom begins. To the Orthodox Christian majority, freedom means enosis, union with Greece. But to the Muslim minority, enosis means disaster. Andonis is a young Christian living in a mixed rural village. He struggles for his own idea of freedom, to be a tailor and escape a life of toil in his father's fields, to be a Cypriot and be with Funda, his beautiful Muslim love. Outside influences, communists, nationalists, extremists, the church, imperialists, family and friends stand in their way. In among all the conflict is the calming and principled influence of the captain, an officer of the British Army. He's the one person who seems to appreciate what a fine couple the two young Cypriots might make, if only they were left alone. Against his will, Andonis becomes embroiled in some nasty Aoka terrorist business with fatal consequences. He's forced to flee his homeland and escape to London. Andonis, now known as Tony, lives a life of exile, away from all the passion and the hatred, the violence and tragedy. His dreams of love and freedom appear lost forever. But with help of the now retired captain and a recently widowed Englishwoman, Tony starts to reconcile himself with his past and overcome his feelings of regret and helplessness. With the events of 1974 threatening to divide his homeland forever, Tony rediscovers meaning in his life. He resolves to return to Cyprus, redeem himself, and resume his quest for freedom by reuniting with all that he has ever loved. And that's the short synopsis for you. Right, as a novelist, I have an admission that may surprise you. I much prefer reading non-fiction to fiction. When I was a boy, I used to love books about science, and in particular astronomy, the stars and planets. The astronomer I came to admire most was a 15th century Pole called Nicholas Copernicus, who many considered to be the father of modern astronomy. I was inspired by the way he solved an intractable problem, the seemingly impossible movement of the planets along their predetermined celestial paths. Now stick with me, I know Copernicus wasn't Cypriot, but there is a point to this little diversion. While Mercury and Venus appeared to behave themselves, Mars, Jupiter and the rest would do a curious loop-the-loop in the sky. Now from Copernicus's point of view, here on Earth, none of this made any sense. Only by changing his perspective was he finally able to see the light, see in the way heaven had always intended, and in so doing alter humanity's place in the cosmos forever. What if the ancient Greek astronomers like Ptolemy were wrong, thought Copernicus? What if the sun rather than the earth was the centre of the universe? If all the planets, including our own, revolved around the sun, then all these celestial anomalies would be resolved in an instant. It seems obvious now, of course, but at the time it was revolutionary, and Copernicus feared ridicule and disfavour for questioning established dogma. Right, so what on earth has this got to do with Cyprus and the Cypriot? Well, it struck me that maybe our intractable Cyprus problem might also be resolved, if only, like Copernicus, we could think outside the box. If only we, collectively as Cypriots, were able to adjust our worldview. Traditionally, people have always looked at the island of Cyprus, the culture, the history, the troubles, through one of two eyes, either a Greek Cypriot view or a Turkish Cypriot view. We see how our side has suffered and continues to suffer, how our side has been exploited and let down by the world, how our side is largely blameless while the other side is uncompromising. By viewing Cyprus and its problem through only one eye, however, we get an incomplete picture which makes seeing a solution impossible. But what if, like Copernicus, we could have a different vision? What if we opened both eyes and saw things from one new, unique and beautiful perspective? one that offered real depth and clarity, a Cyprocentric rather than a Greco/Turco-centric universe. What might that do to the Cyprus problem? And that's what my book, The Cypriot, tries to do. Some years ago, back down here on Earth, I got involved in setting up the Cypriot Academy, a voluntary group dedicated to promoting Cypriot culture and achievements in the UK. I came to realise that an excellent way to help achieve the Academy's aims was to knuckle down and write the Cypriot. So I did, with the Cypriot Academy's expert guidance and support. I'd actually been waiting for someone else to tell the human story behind the division of our tragic little island. A serious undertaking for sure, but what a great idea for a novel, and then the Hollywood movie. That's up to you, David. Unfortunately, no one ever rose to the challenge, so reluctantly I decided I'd have to do it myself. It took 3 years and needed much research and soul searching, and then 3 more years to land the right publishing deal with those excellent people at Dexter Haven. The success of Louis de Bernier's Captain Corelli's Mandolin convinced me that there was potentially a huge market for a star-crossed historical love story set on an idyllic war-torn Mediterranean island, now a popular holiday destination.